Hey everybody, I'm making this video to show you a few things that I figured out about the some of the antennas on the Samsung Galaxy S3, along with the way that I was able to fix my GPS. I know it's a big problem out there from looking online. The GPS on these phones has a tendency to quit working, where you can't get a lock on, you can't get a good signal. And the first way I found online was the tightening the screws on the back of this case right here. You can see there's 10 total screws, 9 on there and 1 on the speaker earpiece part of the back. And the first time I tried it, it worked great. And for a month the GPS worked flawlessly, and then all of a sudden it would quit working a little bit, it would start working again, and I thought, okay, well, let me tighten the screws again. I tightened them up, and again it worked instantly. And then this time it only worked for maybe a week, maybe half a week. Then the GPS would quit locking on. You'd be driving somewhere. This is my wife's phone, and she really needs GPS. But she would be driving somewhere and the GPS would cut out. It would quit working. It would tell her she's on a different road than she was on. So again, I tried it again, and this time the screws are pretty tight. The second time I did it, I snugged them up pretty good. And now they're tight where you're not getting anything on them. And now it won't work at all. Tightening the screws doesn't work. I loosen them up, retighten them, and every once in a while I could get it to lock on and work, but it would only work for maybe a day, and then it would quit working. And so I took the phone apart. First of all, the rubber band on here, that's just to hold the battery pack in, because I've got the back off and I've got it on. So that's to keep the battery from falling out as I turn it around. But so I'm trying to fix this for her. And so I've taken it apart several times, looked at it, tightened the screws, loosened screws, put Loctite on the screws. Nothing would help. After this third time that I tightened it, nothing would help. Every once in a while it would work for, like I said, for a day or so, but then it would quit working. Sometimes it would only work for an hour and then it would quit working, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So this last time I took it all apart. I took the motherboard out. You can see the motherboard. That's this piece right here. I guess it's a motherboard, or the board for the phone, the main, where the processor and the GPS chips are all mounted. But took it out, and what I had noticed is there was a little bit of corrosion on certain areas, because my wife had dropped this in a glass of water at one time, and she immediately turned it off and put it in a bag of rice, and then the next day she started it up and it worked fine. But what I had noticed is, most likely from when she dropped it in the water, there was a little bit of corrosion, and the corrosion was around these little areas where you can see the gold here where the screws go. One there, there's one there. There was a little bit of corrosion on this gold area where it would touch the frame. And I thought, well, maybe it's not getting proper ground. Maybe that's why the GPS isn't working. The ground is intermittent. The motherboard's not grounding to the frame like it should. So what I did was I took the motherboard out of the phone, and I used my Dremel tool right here with a real soft little wire bristle brush. I don't know if you can see that on there or not. And real lightly, I went around inside of all these horseshoe shaped, let it focus here a second, if it will. Let's see. Well, you can, yeah, there you go. You can see the little horseshoe shaped around where one of the screws goes. There's one there. There's another one right there. There was a little bit of corrosion on the back side of where this screw that holds the motherboard in goes. Little corrosion in there. So what I did, and on the other side, there's more of this areas like this where there's just flat. It's flat areas of gold. A little bit of corrosion on there. So I took my wire wheel, and everywhere I could see corrosion, I brushed it off and put it back together. And then one thing I noticed, which I'll show you here in a second, is the GPS worked instantly. And this is mainly for people that tightening the screws, the 10 screws around the outside of the case. doesn't work or quits working, this is another possible solution. It could be this. This is another reason. If you've never dropped yours in water before, it could be this screw right here is loose. Now, I know I've seen things about putting Loctite on them, and I actually am going to do that again, and I did it before, but I have never put Loctite on this screw right here. This is the one that holds the motherboard in. And but when I took it out, I could see evidence of a little bit of blue Loctite. So evidently from the factory, they do put Loctite on those screws. But another thing that I had done to this phone, I replaced the screen here at one time because my wife had cracked it. And so I had taken this screw out, so there was no more Loctite on it. So if you've ever taken this screw out, it's possible that that's what's causing your GPS issues. If you didn't put Loctite to hold it back in, or maybe it just got loosened up. But I'm going to show you how the GPS works here and the difference it makes with that screw on there. I'm using GPS test here to test my right there to test my GPS. This is what I've been using the whole time as I've been trying to get this to work. It's a great little app, free on Android or free on the Google Play. Now you can see GPS isn't on. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Go back. It should lock on pretty quick because I've got that screw tight. We'll see here in a second. Oh, it's not going to lock on at all because I do not have the GPS antenna. This is where the GPS antenna is located. Okay, you see 0 in use. It's not locking on. The little indicator's flashing. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop this on. This is where the GPS antenna is located at. It's actually up in this top corner right here. That's where the GPS antenna is. Pop the antenna on. You can see, here it goes. It's already got a lock. Whoop, there we go. Sorry about that. It's already got a lock. 19 satellites, 18 in use. Pretty good signal, 30 feet accuracy. So my GPS is working. I'm going to show you that this is where the GPS antenna is located by pulling this off. You see it was working. 20 satellites in use. Get ready to pull it off. Now watch. Nothing. It still says 26 feet. It just takes a second for it to update. Pretty soon this little indicator is going to start flashing again, showing you that it's not locked on. There it goes. Not locked on anymore. Now this is how I figured out which antennas, which little ports on the back, not ports actually, little, whoop, careful when you got a magnet on your screwdriver. I use that because it helps me pull the screws out when I take them apart. This one right here, you can see that one is the GPS. That's where the GPS antenna connects to the motherboard. This one right here is where the Wi-Fi connects to the motherboard. And then this one right down here, this last one on the right, is where the antenna for your phone reception to make phone calls and your signal strength for that is located. Now I don't know what the other ones are for because I couldn't get any indication to change when I put it on the middle one or this one or even this one right here. I'm not sure what this one does because when I put an antenna on there, my homemade foil antenna, nothing changes. Maybe it's for S-beam or something like that, but I have no way of testing that kind of stuff. So, but I'm going to show you here. Again, we got 0, 20 satellites, 0 in use. You can see the indicators flashing up in the top corner. We're not getting a signal. I'm going to take this piece of foil here. It's just a piece of foil. I crumpled it up at one end to make it come to a point so I can touch it. I'm going to touch it to this one right here. This is where the GPS, the GPS antenna hooks to the motherboard again. Again, I'll show you the front. 0 in use. I'm going to touch it to the back. You see it starting to light up already. GPS locked on. Now I'm going to take it off. Foil's off. You see the bars quit moving. It'll take a second for it to lose lock. There, you can see the accuracy going down. In a second here, you'll see the indicator start flashing again. It's losing satellite, 16, 13. There it is, it's lost lock. I'm going to do it one more time. Again, I'm doing it to this top one right here. Just touching it to it. Here we go. Touching it, and instantly we start getting satellites, we get a lock. That's where your GPS antenna hooks up. Okay, now I'm going to show you the Wi-Fi. You can see I've got a real bad Wi-Fi connection, 1 bar, sometimes it goes to 0 bars. Now I'm going to touch it to this one right here. Right there, and you'll see the Wi-Fi jump up. Okay, right now it's got 1 little bar. I'm touching it to it. It takes a second for it to update. Now I got 2 bars. Now I got 3 bars. 3 bars. I've got my foil antenna hooked up. Pull it away. Now watch, down. No bars, or maybe 1. Touch it again. 2 bars, 3 bars. Instantly, I pulled it away. Instantly, it's gone. One more time. Touch it. Whoop. Sorry about that. Pressing the volume. You see my Wi-Fi goes up. Take it away. Gone. Now I'm going to show you the last one. This is for your signal strength for your phone or your mobile data or whatever. This last one here on the right. Going to do the same thing. Watch how many bars. Right now, actually, I've got I've got 3 bars, which isn't too bad for not even having the antenna hooked up. But I'm going to go ahead and touch it, and you should watch it. It takes a second for it to update. 4 bars, 5 bars, full strength. Take the antenna away, you'll watch it go down. It's at 5, it's at 4, it's at 3 bars, and it might not go any lower than 3 bars, because that seems like what signal strength I've got without an antenna. Do it one more time. My foil antenna, touching it to that 1 tab. Got 3 bars, 4 bars, and 5 bars. Take it away. Four bars. And 3 bars, and you get the point. I'm doing that just to show you if you ever have a problem with your signal strength. It could be that connection for phone calls, or if you got a Wi-Fi issue, you might want to look and see if there's anything wrong with that one right there, and then the GPS is right there. But people think that it's because the GPS issues, or because this isn't tight enough on there. You need to tighten the screws down. But I don't know if I can get a picture of this, but it's the connector actually is a little springy type thing. I can't get a good view of it, but it really doesn't need to be tight at all, as long as it's making contact. And I'll show you that by, I'm going to put this thing back on the antenna. You can see there's no screw right here in this part right here. It's not tight. It's just sitting on there, but it's touching the connector, and you can see instantly 18 bars. So the tightness of that screw doesn't really make a difference, unless it would have to be off your phone. It pretty much has to be off your phone to make your Wi-Fi not work. I think more of when the screws, tightening the screws helps. Maybe it's pulling all of these grounding points where the motherboard grounds to the frame tight to the frame, and that actual grounding is what's causing causing your GPS to start working. But I think the problem with mine was that the corrosion in between the motherboard and the grounding points wasn't letting it get a good connection, even though those screws were tight. So again, I'll show you. We got 16 bars. I'm gonna pull the antenna off. The antenna's off now. Now you see all the bars, they quit moving. It's actually got no signal right now. It can't get a lock. It's losing distance. The next thing I'm going to show you is how that one black screw that holds the motherboard to the frame affects. Okay, you can see we pretty much lost Wi-Fi. We know this is the antenna. This is what not Wi-Fi, GPS, I'm sorry. This is the GPS antenna. I'm going to put it back on. No screws in it. Instantly, we have GPS. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this little black screw right here that holds the motherboard down affects the GPS. I'm going to put my magnet back on my screw. It helps me to not lose it, or on my screwdriver. Okay, you can see, let me show you one more time. We got a good connection. 15, 16, we got 10 feet accuracy. We're using 16 satellites. We've got a pretty good signal there. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to pull this screw out. Screws out. Watch what happens. You can see we've still got a lock on with 18, but we've got mostly orange. And you'll see it takes a second for it to update. 17, we're starting to lose. I'm going to give it a second. Okay, sorry about that. My camera battery died on my regular camera, so I'm going to have to use my cell phone for the rest of this video. But you can see I took the screw out, and we've got 19 in view, 11. It's still working, but not as well. We got a weak signal, 10 in use. Now what I'm going to do, I'll show you. I've still got that screw out there at the very bottom, right there. Let me get some light on there so you can see. Yep, there you go. The screw's out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that screw back in and show you what happens to the GPS. Let me get the screw on my screwdriver. Okay. Still, GPS is still working. Let me let it update. We got 9. Now I'll try to do this in real time and show you what happens as soon as I tighten that screw up. Got that on there. We got 10 in use. I'm installing the screw right now. And the screw is tight. Instantly, you see the signal jump up. All the bars start getting higher. You can see the difference in the signal. We got instead of mostly orange bars, we have mostly yellow and green bars. I'll do it one more time just to show you. Screwdriver. I'm going to take this little motherboard screw out. It's out. Now, weak signal, 6 in use, not very good. I'm going to put it back in. One more time. Again, I don't know if you can see the little screw on the end there, just a little black screw. Do this in real time so you can see. Putting the screw in. And it's tight. I didn't jump up like I thought it would. Let me make sure I got it tight in there. I can get my screwdriver on it. There we go. My antenna at the top had come way loose. I had to push it back in. And there you go. Good signal again. Good lock on. So pretty much the moral of this story is, if tightening the 10 screws around the outside of the back doesn't help you, if you haven't dropped it in water and you know there's no corrosion, then just try to tighten this screw, and maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. But if you ever have dropped it in water, it might be a good idea to take your motherboard off. And it's really easy to do. You just have to take this screw out, disconnect a few little connectors. This one here, the one for your LCD touchscreen, the one for, well, you'll have to take this little connector here off, just to take this speaker and antenna assembly off. But you can find plenty of videos on YouTube on how to take this apart and check and make sure there's no corrosion. You could barely see the corrosion with the naked eye. I had to use a little jeweler's magnifying glass, and that's how I could really see it. When I used this, I could see the corrosion that was, like I said, around the gold spots where the motherboard grounds to the frame. And cleaned it off, put it back together, and Wi-Fi is working much better now. So I hope this helps somebody. I know I was frustrated with the GPS on this phone, and this seems to have helped. We'll find out in a month or two if it's still working. But as of right now, good signal, good lock. Keep my fingers crossed. Hope this helps. Thanks.